This is an honest review of Medieval Dynasty. Okay, let's look at the graphics. So, as you can see, there are a nice chunk of options. I'm running a 3080 with a 9900K, and I was not able to run this at max settings, so beware. Are able to be rebound, and so that's that. Guys, this is one of the most infuriating games I think I've ever played. Okay, that's not true, but it's so good that the stuff that is bad, man, it's borderline ruins it. Because this game it's so engrossing. It's so immersive. The story, who gives a shit? You want to know the story? Fine. So the story is your family, or your old town you were in, was raided. It gets burnt to the ground. Your dad dies. You restart in this old village. You make this deal with the head guy there. He's like, yeah, you want to live here? We'll let you restart. And then you start rebuilding, right? And then what you do is you build your reputation throughout all of the settlements and all the areas that allow you to recruit higher level people, citizens you can recruit to come live at your settlement. And then as you do that, you get XP to level up your guy. But what really matters, guys, is what you do at your settlement. You see, this is a farming simulator. This is a grind from hell. The plague that has infected every single survival game that I've ever played as is you go 2 hours without eating or drinking, and you have to cram your belly full of 5 pork chops, 5 chickens, and 10 gallons of water, and that'll last you for another 2 hours. Well, in this game, it's twice as bad, because not only do you have to look after yourself, you have to look after the people who have moved in. And here's the problem, guys. They are uptight, needy bastards. You know, they're like an uptight, prissy woman. I don't think you're allowed to say that. You know, they look so good on the outside, and then all they do is nag and nag and nag. And you're like, yeah, okay, fine. I'll go slave for you. I'll go hunt you like 3 foxes, load you up buckets full of water for you to have. I'll give you all the tools you need. They don't care. They just don't care, guys. You see, the biggest problem in this game is the grind and the neediness. And I found that as I would assign people to certain production houses, because as you build up your town, you build these production stations that will acquire certain resources, right? So I had a guy assigned to a hunter station that was supposed to go out, hunt, and bring back meat and leather. Right now, depending on what you give them, what tool you give them, which we'll get to in a minute, depends on what they bring back. It's actually really neat. I mean, you're delegating your city, and you're delegating this village that you build from the ground up. That's very immersive. To send them off and to come back, right? Well, it took me about 2 to 3 hours to realize and to figure out how to even get that far. Because the problem with this game, guys, is it doesn't tell you anything. And when I say it doesn't tell you anything, I mean, you know, I'm down to have a game kind of just say, okay, you're off. But usually there's a little guidance involved, right? Usually they tell you the truth, you know. But I found this game to be very misleading with certain stuff. The progression system they have in the game is, if you want to level up farming, you need to learn how to do farming stuff, and you need to do the farming stuff. Well, how do you do that? You don't know. They don't tell you. So you end up going to the forums, looking up how to progress, because you've just spent an hour trying to figure out this game. And you can't, because the game is so loose. And here's the thing, is that it's bittersweet, because if you like that type of non-hand holding, right? I don't like holding my hand, but man, I need a little something to get me going, you know? But here's the other thing, is there are certain missions that you need to do in order to keep going, right? Specifically the chapter missions, because you see what happens, guys, is you have a settlement building limit. You start out with 5, you go up by 10, 15, it goes up by 5 every time you complete a chapter mission. And if you don't complete those missions, guys, you will not be able to max out your settlement. And this is where all of the problems combined come together, because you get so overwhelmed and you get so what's going on here that it really is difficult. I got about 10 hours into this game, and it took me that long to sort of get going, to really kind of really figure out what it is that I'm doing. And guys, I'm still not even close to finishing this game. This game is so vast, it is so massive, and the potential is huge that it frustrates me how frustrating it is to learn the game. But at the same time, it's bittersweet, because you build up your town, you build up your village, and you step back and you say, yeah, you know what, I built that. Yeah, I harvested those carrots. Yeah, I fertilized that ground and I planted those seeds. I did that. Guys, the game is so good. The game is so good, but the grind and the micromanaging is too much. It's not my type of game. And I like survivals. 7 Days to Die is one of the best survival games I think I've ever played, and is a fine example of a survival game. But man, it's infuriating how good you know this game is. You know it's good. As soon as you hit like hour 5, you're like, man, like this game is so good. And the little frustrations that are just so foundational to the game, it just kills it for me. So if you like that micromanaging, you're gonna like this game. Now, speaking of the settlements, I mean that's the biggest part. There's seasons in the game, guys. This is what is so immersive about this game. Well, it's one of the reasons. The seasons will go through and they are gorgeous. They're so immersive. When it's winter, you feel cold. You'll get cold. If you don't stay warm, your health will start dropping. So you need to have a torch. You need to have better clothes to keep yourself warm. If it's in the summer, you can get too hot, so you gotta have lighter clothes on. You can jump in the water. There's an air type system, right? So you go and you can flirt with any woman, right? If they're not taken, you can flirt with them. And there's a romance gauge of how close you are with that female, right? What happens is you can be married and have a child. Now, when you die, that child will become your heir, and you can continue on as your heir. But if you die without having an heir, you either start over new, or you go back to your last save game. Now, this game does have auto-saving, and you also have manual save with F5, so it's not bad. But there was one point where I died and I probably had to restart, probably an hour's worth of grind, you know, so that's something to be aware of. But guys, here's the thing, this game is awesome. If you want a good village building game where you are building everything, you're hands-on in everything, you are the king of the castle, you want to run this joint, this is your game. But beware that you're not gonna know stuff. And obviously, it's okay to not know stuff, right? It's good to figure out stuff. But this is, I mean, obviously, all this is my opinion, but this is such to a degree of not knowing what to do that it really just, it's too much of a turn off for me, guys. Because here's the thing, guys, it isn't a bad game. It's a very good game. And if you don't have it, I would recommend trying it, because it's worth having. It's not a very intense game, at least what I've played so far. I've got 10 to 11 hours in it. I feel like that's a very solid time to feel out the game and to know how it's going to be. But it's just, the micromanaging is too much, and it's just not my type of game. There are people out there who will absolutely love this game. And if you've wondered about whether or not this game is for you, and you don't mind the monotonous grind and mind the micromanaging, this is perfect. And I would highly recommend, after this review is over, to go and buy it. So that's that, and we'll see you in the next one.